Welcome to this video tutorial about open water swimming. The idea is if you're new to open water swimming, that having a little bit of time to think about the theory and the theory of some of the techniques will give you a chance to process before we go out and practice the techniques in our first open water swimming session. This can be used for ocean swimming on its own, or in this tutorial we will be focusing on triathlon swimming. Because the swim starts off the triathlon, it can be quite a busy time. This is a picture of an extremely busy triathlon. But there are other things from moving from pool swimming to open water swimming that can kind of scare people a little bit. So one of the things to deal with these fears is to sort of acknowledge that they're there first. I'm going to get you to take a moment and pause this recording and just jot down what some of your fears about open water swimming might be. I'm hoping that some of the following information about Pandora Pond, which is where we'll be doing the swimming, will just help to alleviate some of your fears. So Pandora Pond is a tidal estuary. It's protected and it's a safe open water swim option in the Napier area. Daily tides make sure that the water does not become stagnant, so it's quite nice and clean. And it also has many exit points and shallow spots, so if you do get into trouble, it's relatively easy to exit the water. There's often many other people around the Pandora Pond area, other swimmers, other people in boats or kayaks or stand-up paddleboards as well, so for safety it's quite a good option. On the very, very odd occasion where marine life might be in Pandora Pond, they're actually more scared of you than you are of them, so they're most likely to swim away. So it's not something that you need to worry about too much. There's really limited visibility in the water in Pandora Pond. I quite like this, but some people actually prefer to be able to see everything underneath, so that could be a problem. Here's a diagram of the swim course. It's 750 metres for the triathlon that we're beginning. It starts on Pandora Road at the start of the red dotted line here. Okay, and then you swim towards the first buoy in a straight line. Okay, so this is the first turn over here. From here we turn around and swim on an angle towards buoy number 2. Okay, that's a shorter distance, and then we finish off with the 2 shortest distance swims up to buoy 3, and then back to the exit, and then this is our transition area down here in the car park. Just if you're trying to figure out where we are at the moment, the big inflatable is here in Pandora Pond. The blue line shows the swimming course for the short course triathlon, so you don't need to worry about that one. But that blue one can be quite good if you're training on your own and want to practice your open water swimming but want to stay close to the shore. You need to come prepared for our first session, so definitely swimming togs. Remember that after your swim you will be biking and running, so it can be worthwhile getting used to swimming in the clothing that you wish to wear for the rest of the race. And also getting used to swimming in a bra, which is what you might not normally do. If you have a swimming wetsuit, it's worthwhile wearing it. It keeps you warmer. It also makes you more buoyant in the water. And then you can decide as you get more confident whether you choose to wear it in the race or not. I highly recommend that you use a cap, also for warmth, but also it makes you more visible in the water. Try and choose a colour that doesn't blend in. So red's often a very popular one, and also goggles are recommended. If you choose to wear a wetsuit, having Vaseline or an anti-chafe product so that the wetsuit doesn't rub and cause chafing is worthwhile as well. Please bring medication if you need it, a towel for the trip home in the van, and just something warm to pop on afterwards, and jandals if you want to wear jandals to and from school for our training sessions. So these are the things that you should have organised in your swim bag. Safety is really important. When we train in class, we train as a group with the teacher either in the water with you or on the side. If you choose to train in your own time, there's just some safety tips that I want you to think about. So swim with a buddy or at least have someone, mum or dad or somebody else, watch you from the shore. They can also time, which can be quite handy. Learn to control any panic or anxiety that you might experience in the open water. It is very, very common to become quite panicky in an open water swim session, particularly if there are lots and lots of people around you, and also with the added nervousness of a race and working towards an assessment time. Practice being able to regulate and slow down your breathing. Practice swimming on your back or breaststroke until you're able to calm yourself down. And there'll be some other sports psychology techniques that we will use to lower our arousal level and keep us in the optimal zone for performing well. If at any time you feel unwell or are really struggling to get your breathing under control, you feel dizzy, anything like that, exit the water as soon as you can. Obviously, you're always going to be way safer in a medical emergency if you're on the shore. There are some really specific swimming techniques for open water swimming and for triathlon. So we're just going to go over a couple of these now, or a few of these now, and then we will practice some of these when we're in the water. So sighting. Unlike a pool, there's no lines on the bottom to make sure you go on a straight line, okay? And you do need to still follow the course. So we've already had a look at the course map, which shows us swimming towards one of 3 buoys, and then needing to change direction. It's really worthwhile choosing a landmark in the distance that will keep you on course. So when you see buoy number 1, you might be able to see the railway bridge in the distance, and beyond that some hills. There's some hills and bushes that kind of look like teddy bear ears that are up higher than the horizon. And this can be a really good landmark to sight from the start as you travel towards buoy 1. Make sure that you choose something that won't move. So choosing something like a large truck or something like that, it's not so great if the truck then drives away. You need to check that you're on course at least every 6 strokes. And one of the techniques that you can use for sighting is just before you take a breath, just lifting your head slightly so that your eyes are out of the water and your face is still in the water. We call this crocodile eyes, and you can see in the picture here it shows someone using the crocodile eyes technique. Their face is still in the water, they lift so that they can see, and then they will turn their head to complete their breath before continuing their stroke. So in an outside setting, we can't control the weather like we can when we go into an inside pool. So both wind and current can very easily and very quickly take you off course. It's one of the reasons that we sight so frequently to ensure that we're staying on course. One of the things that you can do when you first go in to warm up and get your body used to the colder water is that you can sit in the water and just line up with a point of reference. For example, in this photo, the man there's got some buoys in behind him, and just sit for a few seconds and see how you drift and what direction you drift and how quickly that happens. If you drift significantly to the left in a short period of time, then you can modify your swim line so you actually swim in a direction more to the right, and the current will then take you exactly where you want to go. If we get a strong current or a strong wind, then we can that's something that we can practice in our open water swim session as well. Drafting is a technique which can greatly reduce drag in the water, which means that you become more efficient and hopefully reduce fatigue that you might experience in your swim. The way that this works is you actually swim in the turbulence of the swimmer in front. It can also be really good to help you keep pace, and it can also be really good if you're not that great at sighting, you can follow someone quite directly. So it's worthwhile practicing this technique with a friend. You can tap the toes of the person in front of you as probably the most common form of drafting, and you can see that from the picture here in the slide. Also, don't freak out if someone in the triathlon taps your toes. It means that they're actually getting a bit of easier ride behind you, and that's fine. It's a really common technique and it's absolutely okay. And it's worthwhile practicing because you can swim more efficiently in this case. The other way that you can draft is by swimming on the swimmer's hips, so sort of either in this direction, in this spot here, or in this spot here, as long as you are still in the turbulence of that swimmer. And I've got a photo a little bit further on that shows drafting on the hip rather than directly behind. Being able to breathe on both sides is extremely advantageous in open water swimming. It's the most efficient when you're swimming in the pool or in open water, but also this ability to breathe on either side can help with a whole lot of things. So in this photo here, we can see the lady with the blue cap. She's actually drafting on the head of this person here with the pink cap. Okay, the fact that she's able to turn to breathe on the left means that it'd be much easier for her to hold that position. If she was breathing to the other side, she doesn't have that advantage of visibility. Other things that can be really worthwhile is if you have a strong current coming, often the waves might be blowing in on one side. So in that case, you would then breathe on the other side to stop the water coming into your mouth. Also, you might have a competitor who, there's the splash from their stroke will disrupt your breathing on one particular side. So if you are able to turn and breathe on the other side, that's fantastic. As triathletes move towards the buoys, this area can become really congested. It's a little bit like a bottleneck. You've got everybody spread out, but all of them are actually aiming for the buoy. And as they come together, it's all of a sudden gets very squishy and very tight. Being able to do a fast, efficient turn at the buoys can save you lots of time, and it can get you away from that crowd quickly. You can use a change of stroke to help with the change of direction. And what we see here is performing one stroke in your freestyle, turning and doing one stroke on your backstroke, back for one stroke on your front, a fourth stroke on your back, and that will actually help to take you around the buoy very efficiently. Now, we've got a PE YouTube channel. It's called sacredheart.hpe. If you go and search for that channel, and you can subscribe to it so you can get any new videos that are uploaded, there is a playlist called Triathlon, and you will see there a really good video of how to practice the turning swim technique, and I'd like you to go and look at that one. It's a clip called Open Water Clinic with the Stroke Doctor. Sorry about the spelling mistake there. And you can just have a little look at that, and then we will also use or practice those same techniques in our first open water session. So finally, with our open water swim techniques, we want to talk about the start or the finish. And just to continue from looking at the turning at the buoys, if you're someone that gets a bit panicky with in those closed spaces, then I suggest with the buoys that you do a much larger turn to keep away from the crowd. And you can use the same technique with your start as well. Have a look at this picture here of a triathlon start. I've never been in one quite like that. But that's a very busy start, and when you've got everybody heading to the same first point, you can imagine how much thrashing and bashing and hitting and whacking can happen. So it's really important that you're basically just prepared for this. On my very first triathlon, the people that I was competing with, they played a terrible joke on me. I told them where did they think I should stand, or stand for the start, and they told me I should go right in the front, right in the middle. That would be the best place to go. And I thought, oh great, that'll be fantastic. I'll get away to a good start. Well, it was a mean, horrible joke, because basically it was the busiest place of the whole race. And what happened is I had people swimming over me, I was swimming over other people, I got kicked in the face, my goggles got knocked off, and I was already nervous enough, but to sort of add that right to the start of the very first race just made it all the more scary. So, if you aren't feeling confident, if swimming isn't your strongest thing, if this is your very first time in a race, I suggest that you put yourself right to the side or right to the back. You can also delay your start by 20 or 30 seconds if you're nervous and just want to have a little bit of space around you. That's okay. It shouldn't make a massive difference in your overall time. Wherever you choose to place yourself, do it according to your ability and confidence. Be prepared to swim really fast at the start of the race, so a sprint start, and then settle into your own stroke rhythm. Don't worry about catching up with others, just make sure you find your own rhythm. It's really worthwhile practicing first in small events. So the aquathon that's coming up one evening, or any sort of splash and dash activities that are happening at Pandora Pond are a really good way to get used to that. If you can, wade in and then dive. Otherwise, just simply bob down and start swimming. When you finish the race, you want to keep swimming until you feel your fingers touch the ground 3 times in a row. When you're there, then you can stand up and run and wade out. In the water, it's more efficient to swim than to try and run through the water, so that's your best technique for finishing up. So there's a basic theory of open water swimming. I hope you've had a chance to consider some basic techniques, but also have a think about how you're feeling about things, your own ability, your own confidence level, where you're at, and perhaps any small goals that you need to reach in terms of improving your swimming as part of your triathlon. I'll see you at our next session, which will be in the pond and doing some open water swimming, finishing off the theory with some practical. Thanks very much.